Everybody, this is Martin John, and I'm here to present Tao of the Day. It is almost 7 o'clock here in Central Time out in the States, and I am sipping a little homemade kombucha and loving on life. I've been up for a minute, a little tired because I didn't sleep many hours, but I'm here to present the Tao. I'm going to go to a DAO that I don't have notes yet for, so that I can, kind of kill two birds with one stone. Um, and so I'm going to read number 62, so that I get a little primer. And then when I'm done doing the DAO of the day here on wisdom, I can just turn to my notes, write my notes, and as soon as my notes are all done for every verse of the DAO, I'm gonna do an attempt at publishing it. That's gonna probably be half-assed attempt, but we're gonna give it a try anyway. So yeah, so number 62, entitled "Everybody's Treasure." And if you don't know what the Tao is or what Tao of the Day is, please come up and we can chat a little bit about it. This is a program or a show or whatever. This is a topic that I've been addressing for about a year and a half now, doing Tao of the Day. I focus on the Tao Te Ching. Tao Te Ching helped me get out of addiction, and then helped me get over a diagnosis of MS and being bedridden. And I'm healthy, and I don't use medication. I don't use traditional medication. I don't use any medication really, other than food and air. Air is definitely a medicine. So yeah, and the Tao is an ancient text filled with enigmatic sort of wisdom and ways of really addressing the deep trust issues that I think we have in our society today. Right, so many of us look to others for answers, and I think really finding the answer is looking inward, and the Tao does that. Right, you are Tao, you are connected to Tao, and the more you allow yourself to be guided by Tao, the more you get to experience who you are and your whole life, rather than living under the influences, which is what I say. Right, we live under the influence of drugs, alcohol. We live under the influence of our parents. We live under the influence of so many things, and as we live under those influences, we alter ourselves so that we can more easily be accepted in a world where those influences are praised. But when we stop praising things and we stop trying to live up to other people's expectations and ask ourselves, well, what the fuck do we want? Well, that's where Tao comes in. Like, of course, there's always withdrawal from any drug, and normality, quote unquote, as people exist in the world today. Right? The world of logic, the world of you, right? The world of finance, the world of parenting, the world of being a child, the world of consumerism, the world of education, is we're under the influence of those things, we don't get to be ourselves. Right? And so when we're under the influence of those things, we will have to experience withdrawal. And withdrawal is uncomfortable. Now, people can argue, well, there's not withdrawal. I mean, even right now, like over the last couple weeks, I had been pacifying by eating a little bit more and eating sugars, which is something that I don't normally do. And I'm going to have to stop it because I don't want to do it anymore. I recognize that I don't like that I'm doing it. That's the big question I tell my clients to ask all the time. Do you like that you're doing it? Not do you like it? Of course you like sugar. Of course you like Oreos. Of course you like, Reese cups, whatever it is. They're designed to be liked. But do you like that you're doing it? There's a big difference. So, as we look to the Tao, we get to be more and more ourselves. We get to embrace who we are. We get to love ourselves a little bit deeper. And we get to step away from all of the influence that we're living under. So if you have a number between 1 and 81, and I ask a number between 1 and 81 because there are 81 verses in the Tao, I'd love for you to step up and we can chat. What we'll do is we'll read it over. You can give me your initial impressions, and then we'll go through it line by line so we can understand the depth that it's trying to get to us. And now, it also has to be noted that the Tao, the first chapter of the Tao, is that words can't express Tao. So no matter what I say, no matter what gets said or what gets written, it's not really expressing doubt. It's pointing to it, and you have to do the rest. You have to look inward and be quiet and be still, and thus find what's in it for you. And that's why I ask you to pick a number. The Tao is written in our hearts, and so when we pick a number, we know that this is something that we need. So if you are interested, definitely step up, pick a number between 1 and 81. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and read number 67, Everybody's Treasure. Tao benefits all things, a treasure for those who know, an opportunity for those who don't. To witness one act or speak to gain position, know that they are under the influence of manifestation. Be like Tao and do not abandon them. For knowing Tao is learned by example. Therefore, when a new leader takes office, don't offer words, gifts, or actions. Offer instead to teach them Tao. Why is Tao so universally loved? Because if you acknowledge it or not, Tao is your treasure, always in harmony, every mistake forgiven. So, the thing that pops out to me is the idea of gaining position. We see this everywhere, right? People are trying to gain position. We're trying to gain followers. We're trying to gain money. We're trying to gain friends. We're trying to gain position. We're trying to gain um, a status of some sort, right? Like a title. We're trying to get married. We're trying to impress our parents. We're trying to impress our friends. We're trying to gain position. And what it says here is don't abandon those that you notice are gaining position, especially yourself, right? I mean, how many of us are out there trying to gain position, gain followers, and do all that, and even gain respect, right? We want to come on maybe to Wisdom, or want to be on Instagram, or OnlyFans, or whoever or wherever we are, and we want to get on there, and we want to impress. And when we impress, we get more followers. We get more money. We get advertisers wanting to work through us, and we feel like we're valuable, right? But here it says Tao benefits all things, a treasure for those who know, an opportunity for those who don't. So that's how we start, right? It starts with, like, when you know that Tao is on your side, this is a treasure. This is a treasure. And you can't, like, because everything, even my, because I've read the Tao and I understand, and I understood the Tao when I got my diagnosis of MS, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid to be bedridden for a while. I wasn't afraid to be bedridden for the rest of my life, actually. I just said, okay, this is just the way it's going to be. That's fine. Not that I gave up. Of course, I wanted to walk, so I worked at it, and it was a struggle, and I fell. And I always said falling down is an opportunity to get up, right? And here we have an opportunity for those who don't. Tao is an opportunity for those who don't. It's an opportunity for those who don't know Tao, who don't know what Tao is. It's an opportunity for them to know Tao. It's an opportunity for them to know that they are loved beyond measure, that they are being supported, that they are being sustained, not by themselves, but by Tao. You aren't out here just, um, you're not independent. You're an individual. Like, there's different things, right? Like, everyone wants to say, I'm independent. I want to be independent. Well, you're going to make your own air. You're going to pump your own blood. Like, you're not independent. You're not, you're not dependent on stuff. You are definitely dependent on things out there in the world. And so you can be an individual, but you are going to depend on other things. If we poison all of the water and all of the air, guess what? You're going to die just like everybody else. No amount of independence is going to keep that from you, right? Because you can't reach that amount of independence. Tao benefits all things. Tao is at the core of it all and benefits everything. It's a treasure for those who know. Just like when I was saying earlier, when I got diagnosed with MS, I knew that this was a gift. When I was bedridden for a month, I knew this was a time I needed to. Now, that doesn't mean I was sitting there just like in the glow, in some halo of bliss. I was being challenged, but I also knew deep down it wasn't this, oh, it's all, everything works out okay. Like it wasn't this blind sort of like like positive thing. Think positive and nothing bad will happen to you. That's all bullshit. But what's real is when you know Tao, and when you recognize that, no, this is what am I here to learn? When you embrace it, and when you say, what do I have to receive? What do I have to give up? Right? What is being offered to me, and what am I being asked to release? And we can do that when it's possible to do that. Then then you know Tao, and you understand that everything that happens to you is a treasure, and there's no reason to get upset, no reason to get, because you're here. And now when you get upset, you learn from that, because this is an opportunity. Every time I get upset, every time I get triggered, every time I get to a place where I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and I'm enraged, or I'm triggered, or I'm upset, or my mind starts to, I have to recall that these are moments where I don't know Tao. These are moments where I have lost sight of Tao. And when I do, I want to get back to the place of knowing Tao, so that I recognize this moment as a treasure. When I see myself get triggered, what is that if not an opportunity? And that's what it's saying here. Tao benefits all things. No matter what happens, you're being benefited by this. And if you poo poo this, and if you piss and moan and do all your fucking, like, I'm upset and I'm triggered and all that, well, guess what? You're missing an opportunity to really understand Tao, and really understand yourself in this moment as you are right now. So you're missing that opportunity if you go pissing all over yourself. To witness one act or speak to witness one act or speak to gain position, know that they're under the influence of manifestation. Be like Tao and do not abandon them. So here's a big thing, right? When you start seeing others, this is the thing. This is what you are being manipulated. You were being manipulated as children. I mean, I don't know anybody who hasn't been manipulated as children to try and be part of the consumer world that we're in, right? I mean, you were exposed to television, and television was there to really turn you into a consumer, right? Most television, um, and even if it wasn't its initial plan, it did turn out that way. Right? Like advertisers, like, now all social media is and mostly advertising. I don't see stuff of my friends unless I seek that out specially, but now it's all advertising. So to witness one act or speak to gain position, and that's what all that advertising is, right? Know that they're under the influence of manifestation, and do not abandon them. Now, when it says do not abandon them, it means don't turn your back on those that are trying to gain position. But it also doesn't mean, it's not trying to say it's your job to teach them something. It's your job to, get them to learn, because the next line is, for knowing Tao is learned by example. The reason that they want a position, the reason they want to be a CEO, the reason that they want $1 million, the reason that they want to win Grammys, the reason that they want to, have a nice car, big house, or, beautiful wife, or, successful husband, or whatever. The reason that they want all of this bullshit is because they're under the influence of manifestation. They don't realize that they are Tao, that they have everything right here. And their fears of not being accepted, their fears of not being enough, their fears of, like, not being loved, their fears of not whatever, their fears of lack, all of that is digging in and taking them apart. And so they have looked outside of themselves for purpose. They have looked outside of themselves for value. They have looked outside of themselves and stopped trusting that they have the answer. And because they don't trust that they have the answer, They are under the influence of manifestation. Manifestation now dictates their value. Manifestation says, well, look around you. You're only driving, a 20-year-old Volkswagen. And so because you're driving a 20-year-old Volkswagen, you don't have value. And your value would be seen more, and you would be, you only have, 1,000 followers, so like you only have 500 followers, so the words that you say aren't valuable, the words that you say aren't heard, and so you don't have value. To witness one act or speak to gain position, know they are under the influence of manifestation. Be like Tao, do not abandon them. For knowing Tao is learned by example. What it means by not abandoning them, it's an interesting way of putting it, right? It's like, don't abandon, don't think. And abandoning them here, maybe, if I were to kind of venture off on this, maybe is, don't limit your vision of them to what they have shown you. They are still Tao, but they're clamoring for this position. They're clamoring for an external thing to define their value. And it's very often when we are moving in the direction of spiritual or, philosophical in this case, like openness and connectedness, we could very easily just be like, well, they don't understand, and this is who they are, and they'll never know. They'll never know any better. And so let's just chalk it up to these people being, like, how many times do we define somebody and then 30 years later we think that they're that same person? We still think that there's some, you know someone trying to gain position, and that's all they want. All they want to do is try and gain some position, and when they try and gain that position, we see it, we define them, and then we put them in a box. I've said this number of times, society wants to define you because it wants to put you in a box. Now, do you want to be part of that and put others in boxes as well? And that's what this is saying. Do not abandon them. I think that's like, do not put them in a box. Be like Tao and do not put them in a box. Do not abandon them. Do not think that this is all that they can achieve. Because if you do, you will turn your back. And not that you need to teach them, but what the next line is, for knowing Tao is learned by example. And so if they see you, if they at least can witness you, so you haven't given up on them, you continue to treat them with respect, because if you stopped respecting them, then you've lost your Tao. You've lost your deep connection with Tao, your understanding of what is. You've lost that because you have abandoned someone, or you've put someone in a box. Therefore, when a new leader takes office, don't offer words, gifts, or actions. Offer instead to teach them Tao. And once again, Tao is learned by example. It's not like you're going to go in and teach them. So maybe this should say, offer instead to show them Tao, or to show them how you interact with Tao. Right? That's what this teach really means. It doesn't mean go in there and coach them. How arrogant you must be to think you can coach someone on Tao. I don't think that. I don't think I can coach you on Tao. I can only share the words, and then you can move about in the words to figure it out for yourself. And yes, we can talk about it, but I'm not figuring it out for you. Why is Tao so universally loved? Because if you acknowledge it or not, Tao is your treasure. And that goes back to our first line, right? Tao benefits all things, a treasure for those who know, an opportunity for those who know. What is an opportunity if not a treasure? Because whether you acknowledge it or not, Tao is your treasure. Whether you use that treasure as an opportunity or whether you use that treasure to reap the benefits moment to moment in your life and grow and heal and experience things that nobody else will, because you are unique. You are not a piece of clockwork. So so this is where this starts wrapping up. Always in harmony, every mistake forgiven. And this is an interesting end, right? Like, as it talks about mistakes, like always in harmony, excuse me, every mistake forgiven. You know, when we live our lives, we feel like we might put things out of harmony. We might we might put things in a perspective, we might put things out there in a way that is either disingenuous or harmful or whatnot. But it is said in the Tao that when one thing happens, another thing is adjusted. So always adjusting excess and deficiency. So if you do something, it's not your job to balance it. You never will be able to anyway. You're not Tao. Tao will do that. Tao does that for you. Tao is in harmony and forgives your mistakes, and you have to move on and do the best you can every day, whether or not Tao comes out and pats you on the back or not. That's why people start getting all caught up in trying to gain position, because in position they have power. And the power means I don't have to say I'm sorry. I can just do what I do, and I can just be a dick, and I can take it all from everybody else. And it's like, well, you don't have to do that anyway. Whatever you experience and whatever someone else experience doesn't have anything to do with each other. So if you do something and it hurts somebody, yeah, you can say sorry and that'd be nice. But if you're not compelled to say sorry, like in your heart, well, then maybe you don't need to. Tao will adjust excess and deficiency. And so everything you do, you judge it as a mistake, whether it's, not studying and lying about it, or if you're a kid, or murder, or, you know, treason, or whatever it is you do, right? Whether you've done it with a conscious mind or not, or whatever, like, it's okay. You know, it's going to be adjusted by Tao. Now, you don't want to do that because it will eventually weigh on you. The more quote unquote mistakes you make, the more you're gonna have to go through withdrawal as you get away from that. But that's why you wake up every morning and you figure out who you are today. Who are you today? Are you just the person you were yesterday, or are you something more? Have you grown and changed? Have you allowed yourself the space to see that you're a new person? And when you can recognize that you're with Tao, you recognize every moment is a treasure. Tao is everybody's treasure. And if you allow yourself to see the opportunities in front of you and to wake up to who you are every day, well, then you're utilizing that treasure to its fullest. Now, I don't even get to do that. Not that I'm special, but I've been reading the Tao for a long time, and I get this. And it's like every time I get upset, every time I'm like, oh, this is gonna be hard or something, like, and I I take a deep breath and I just get on with it, because it doesn't matter if it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, and I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna do it now, because Tao is with me. So Tao benefits all things, a treasure for those who know and an opportunity for those who don't. To witness one act or speak to gain position, know that they're under the influence of manifestation. You should be like Tao and not abandon them. For knowing Tao is learned by example, and if you were to abandon them, they would have no example to learn from. Therefore, when a new leader takes office, don't offer words, gifts, or actions. Offer instead to teach them Tao. Why is Tao so universally loved? Because if you acknowledge it or not, Tao is your treasure, always in harmony, every mistake forgiven. Thank you so much for joining me today on Tao of the Day. I love reading these. I love going through them. I love experiencing them newly every time. And if you have a number between 1 and 81 you'd like to select, I would love to have you up. Oh, Johnny's coming up. Oh, I love Johnny. Johnny and I, we've been talking about the Tao for a little bit now.
Hey, Martin John, how are you?
I am well. I am well. How are you?
I'm good, Martin John. Thank you very much.
Good.
Thanks for reading 67. That was really interesting. My number for today is 43.
43.
Yeah. I'll just give you a little bit of a prelude before we
Yeah.
start. It's interesting you were saying that I think you view MS as an opportunity, as a treasure, as a treasure,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I'm still trying to get my head around my equivalent, if you would like. So I was in for another MRI. Yesterday, and
Mm-hmm.
I have something that mimics MS, but it's not MS.
Mm.
So um, I'm so I, I'm 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 really I'm really impressed actually by how you've embraced your MS as an opportunity for learning and for growth.
Well, I
And
have to say, like, I was lucky having been an addict and having overcome that, and also having the Tao with me in my heart, and all knowing about the Tao, and knowing my journey of recovery as a younger person before I got diagnosed. So when I got diagnosed, I cried for like an hour, 2 hours, but then within about a 4 hour stretch, I was okay with it.
wow,
So, like, without my experience of recovery, because I realized that it was all within me, and without my experience with Tao, without my experience with all of the things that I had experienced up until that point, I do believe that if I were to not have had that, and in those first 4, 5 hours, I just was lost in gloom and doom, that the gloom and doom would
yeah,
have taken over. And then that becomes an addiction we have, right? That becomes something that we live under the influence of. That becomes something that we then look at and say, this is true. I am in doom and gloom, and this is my situation. Once we're there, we have to go through what I would consider a withdrawal process. Withdrawal from believing that and being addicted to thinking that. And then once we can, and we have to be really, really, and having gone through physical withdrawal from drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, fucking all sorts of shit in my life, I know what that feels like. I know it's uncomfortable, and I know it can be overcome.
yeah. So through those experiences, firstly you had direct experience of overcoming um, those challenges,
Mm-hmm.
and it built resist. It gave you tools and built resilience. Then going forward, when you had when actually MS came along, but yeah, no, that's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, and I also I also resonated with what sort of you said earlier. about there's a lot of people there out there who, they say, oh, just think positively, or it's all going to be all right. And it's just
No,
like, no,
there's
you're not. That's
yeah,
BS.
it's a that is the shallow answer to the depth of the action that has to take place in order for you to have a life that um that doesn't recognize the negativity and fall for the negativity, right? Like the think positive, the natural course is in there, right? The natural thing that you will do is be positive and stuff. But that has to come about in a natural way for it to actually work. Otherwise, you're kind of fooling yourself in a lot of places. And when you're fooling yourself, you can very easily be like, but I'm thinking positive. But what's happening underneath the surface is you're believing that doom and gloom that you said to yourself when you first got diagnosed.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's why I talk
absolutely.
about withdrawal in situations like this, where it's like you definitely have to go through the uncomfortable withdrawal period of withdrawing yourself from the like from the chemical inducing thought that you're stuck in gloom and doom.
Yeah. Would you call that acceptance?
I mean, the thing is I think I would call it surrender
Okay. Yeah.
more than acceptance. Acceptance is a weird thing, right? Because like you accept this. Well, once this changes because you're healing, are you still accepting this or are you open to changing? So when you surrender to it, when it changes, you are aware of it. You become
Yeah.
aware of it changing and then you surrender to that. And you don't have to continue surrendering to the same thing because it's changing just like you.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, because the thing, I think, when you accept something, you accept your predicament, you accept your situation, it kind of feels, um it I don't want to use the word defeatist, but it sort of feels, because you're trying to accept something you don't want to accept. So
Right. I mean,
it's a
the
paradox.
reason that you have to accept it is because you don't,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And so like surrendering to it is like of course you don't want to surrender to it, but surrendering isn't something you ever, you know, like you do that because you have been, in one way or another beaten into submission. This is when you recognize you are in a state that you need to just okay, I'm done fighting this. Like I love this thing. Like to really look at my predicament as the opportunity. As soon as I saw that, oh my god, I started thinking. I was like, "Oh, this is the opportunity." Right? That I was speaking about earlier when I was talking about number 62. This is if I if I'm triggered, if I am if I'm condemning myself to something, then I'm not connected with Tao. I'm not recognizing the Tao within myself. And thus I have I have this moment, and this moment is because I'm not connected with the all knowing Tao or whatever, because I'm not recognizing that that's there, then it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to once again realign myself with it, and once again learn something so that I can deeper understand my relationship to myself, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I'm very conscious of the time now, but I guess my
Oh, no,
last
no, 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 no. Well,
my
you can
last
always come back up. I don't have anybody
thank
in
you.
line. It's always
Um,
a pleasure to chat with you.
yeah, thank you. It's always great, talking to Martin John. I really appreciate it. I guess, yeah. My my thoughts on that or feelings on that was, you surrender. When you surrender, you surrender to flow. You
Mhm.
surrender you surrender and trust to Tao. And I think, yeah, I think that I'm much happier with sort of the idea of surrender, because
Yeah.
it then gives you, it gives you possibility. I don't know, it just
Yeah.
opens up
So
possibility.
let's look at let's look at war really quick. Now, if you get captured in war, and you have to accept that you're captured because there are, like, the enemy has surrounded you. Okay, you accept that you're captured. You put your gun down. You raise your hands up, and you're like, okay, well, that's surrendering, right? You go with them, and you surrender to this moment after moment, and when the opportunity to escape comes, because of whatever reason, you take that opportunity, and whether or not you do it or not, whatever. But if 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 you think about, like, if I think about, like, okay, accept the fact that you were captured, just accept it, that means there's this, like, resistance in there, and it's like, now you're going to be a dick, right? You're going to be in there, and you're going to always, you're not going to be cooperative at all. You're just like, I accept the fact that I'm here. I accept the fact that this happened, but I'm going to be difficult, which means you're going to constantly be the thing that, like, every there's a line in the Tao that talks about every force is met with a counterforce,
Yeah,
and surrendering is not offering force. It's surrendering, and you say, okay, well, show me what you have, show me where you're bringing me. I will go with you.
yeah, that's lovely. Thank you. I was just thinking when you said that, when actually you accept, on some level, there's so much resistance in you. You do end
Right.
up acting like a dick,
Yeah,
and in doing
absolutely.
so, you're just wasting energy. And
Like,
then,
we've all been in relationships where it's just like, I don't want to do this thing, and I'm going along with it, and instead of surrendering to the fact that I'm doing this, I accept the fact that I'm going to this wedding of these people that I don't like, and I actually show up with a real animosity, and a real, like, and when I get called out on it later in the evening, like, I might just say, like, well, I went, isn't that what you wanted? And it's like,
yeah,
no, I wanted you to I wanted you to be there, but who was there wasn't you at all.
it was the
It's like,
dick. Yeah,
you're right. It's like it was the dick within you that just decided that, like, I'm gonna do this, just I'm doing this for you. There's no surrender there.
yeah,
There is
exactly.
this, like, there is, like, this horrible sort of feeling of resistance and stuff. So
Yeah.
so number 43, if that was your number, correct?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
please. Right.
And you can drop out and come back on, and we can read it together.
Okay.
And
Shall
then,
I do
yeah,
that then?
yeah, do that now so that we can read it, and it'll be a nice flow.
All right. Well, do. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna bring Johnny back up, and we're gonna go ahead and read number 43, which is entitled "Be Silent and Learn." So the title, I don't know if you heard that, was "Be Silent and Learn."
Okay. Thank you.
The flexible will outlast the rigid. The gentle will outlast the hard. Tao, which has no structure, has penetrated all, even that which has no space to enter. Through this, I see that unforced action and silence are the only path to completeness. Action, free of expectation and desire. This is the lesson of the nature of things. Listen to your nature, be silent, and learn.
That's very apt for me at the moment. I'm trying to figure out my next steps, and I have had a habit in the past of forcing action.
Mm.
It's using these sort of platitudes of, um, action conquers fear, and sort of like all of these ideas that actually you've got to be doing something to fix the problem. But I've always had the feeling that if the action is forced, if you're doing it from a place where you don't really know what you're doing, you just feel like you need to be doing something. It's kind of a little bit like running into a burning building. It's just not going to work out well.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, yeah,
We'll go
can we
over
go
it.
through
Yeah.
that? Thank you.
So I want to, like really, there's this. So in my mind, I have this idea that, like, in the past, you've had concepts that you have dealt with where it's like, okay, I want to, I have a desire to get to a specific place. I have a,
Hmm.
and then I make a plan to get there, right? And then my next action will be a part of that plan. And it's so simple because I can see it. I can see that if I do A, B, and C, then I will get to D, and so on and so on. But as we look at the beginning of this, right, the flexible will outlast the rigid. That plan is a bit of rigidity.
Yes.
The gentle will outlast the hard. Now, I'm going to jump to uh, the gentle will outlast the hard. There's rigidity. I wanted to read another one, but I'm just slipped my mind really quick. So, so when we look at oh yeah, a traveler. So in number 27, we look at this idea of, although a good traveler may have plans,
Hmm.
they are not rigid, nor is the outcome. So I'm just going to another verse to kind of see, like, where else have we used this kind of term rigidity
Yeah.
as it relates to plans. Although a good traveler, and you're traveling through your life, you may have plans of where to go, but they are not rigid, nor is the outcome. And that's the surrendering. When you look at your situation and you have a plan of how to attack it, the more rigidly you hold on to that plan, the more you are going to be, the more your plans are going to be overcome, right? They're going to be defeated by just the experience of living.
It's interesting you use the word attack. So I thought, yeah, it was like, I think that has been part of the issue, in that if I try and attack the problem,
Yeah.
it's that's not really a good starting point for me. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, so starting from a place of surrender,
yeah,
and recognizing that, yeah, I mean, you can, once again, this gets into the thing, just recognizing that you see it as a problem. This
instead I
is
should
this
think it,
instead of an opportunity.
yeah.
This is an opportunity for you to learn something. You don't know what that is. It's not you didn't you weren't born and got a syllabus of what you're going to learn here. You just have to figure out your lessons as you go. No one's going to grade you. You're here. And the more you feel like you're being graded, the more you feel like, like you have to overcome, the more you feel like all of that is just, that's just your ego kind of getting in the way and thinking that things should be different. I tell people all the time, it's like the only problem is that you want it to be different.
Yeah. And previously, my answer to that would have been, that's because I'm not accepting it. But actually, it's because I've not been surrendering
Right.
to the opportunity. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, it's like, accept it or not, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe you're going to resist it, but then if you were to accept it, if you were to really accept it, now if we can look at accept from the state of surrender, where you can just like, okay, I'm going to surrender to this. And so, it all depends on how we use and how we define the words, right? Like,
Yeah.
once again, the first verse of the Tao states words can't describe the Tao. And so, whether or not we use accept or surrender, we just want to be able to get what we understand the word to be able to encompass what needs to happen. And we can only get close with words
Yeah.
because it has to happen energetically deep within us. And we've been so clever and we came up with all of these languages and stuff, but they still aren't right.
Yeah. And I think that's key, isn't it? It's how you feel about, you say energetically, and I would probably, and for me it's energetic and feeling,
Hmm.
and what that then allows me, um and puts me in a position to do something, to move forward,
Hmm.
and 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 drop the resistance, and and drop the regret and the anger and all of, and I get and maybe this is where recovery from addiction comes in, just s- genuinely seeing that there are gifts in in this challenge opportunity that's been presented with you to you. And I d yeah, and yeah, I'm a bit lost here, but
No,
I
no, no, I get it. Like, one of the interesting things when we look at like addiction and stuff is we think, well, you did it to yourself, right? You
yes.
the drugs and stuff. And in your situation,
Yeah, I did it to myself. Yeah.
well, yeah, because you made the choice to do it, but someone else actually, like you had the experience of someone else coming in and fucking it up,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
right? So you have this story. You have this story
Yeah.
that someone else fucked it up, and now you're fucked up because of that, right?
Yeah.
So here you get free reign to play the victim,
Yeah.
right? Now I could have, and probably did. I don't recall, but like it was everybody else's fault, right? It was because
Yeah.
praise. It was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all this sorts of things. It was everybody else's fault.
Yeah.
And so, but you have like a moment, right? You went to sleep and you woke up and everything was fucked up, right? Like
Yeah.
so you have this sort of like this immediate experience of like shit getting fucked up,
Yeah.
and and so you in our in the way that we do things, in the way that we understand the world, you just glommed on to, and no fault of your own, right? Like you just glommed on to, I'm a victim of this, and this is bad, and and now here you are, right? And so getting over that, once again, that's the withdrawal that has to happen, and every time you think, I don't want to be a victim to this, the thought of, well, if I'm not a victim, I'm not going to get taken care of,
Yeah.
right? And then you start thinking that like I'm not going to be cared for. But the thing is, you are caring for. You are cared for, not by your doctors. Like you're cared for, right?
That's
You're
so
cared,
true. Yeah.
right? You're cared for by Tao, and Tao
Yeah.
is sustaining those doctors for the gift of life that you received. Right? Like your life is filled with all of this so that you can learn and so that you can connect with Tao.
Yeah.
And that's what this next line is. Tao, which has no structure, has penetrated all, even that which has no space to enter. So even if you don't believe in Tao, even if you are closed off to the concept of Tao, it is within you. Just like your doctors, even if they think that they're the ones that are doing it, even if you're sitting here thinking that this is your fault, if anything like that, Tao still exists inside of that. And the stillness, as we are going to talk about silence and learning, is where you are going to have all of your learning happen, really. And then this is where the next line, through this, I see that unforced action and silence are the only path to completeness. Go in, don't force your action, be still until the next action arises on its own accord.
I think that's uh, very very key for me, and also it. I think it also it resonates with another line in the Tao, where sorry in sort of the Tao Te Ching, where sort of we talk about, or you talk about, letting the mud settle
Mm-hmm.
and see clearly, and
Yeah.
and unforced action. That's kind of that's what I was trying to. That's what I was talking about. When it's forced action, for me, it feels like it's running into a burning building.
Yeah.
That's so unforced action, where the action comes from. I don't want to say a good place, but I want to say
Hmm.
a
Oh,
lot along those lines.
yeah. There's no good or bad in that place. Good and bad don't exist.
Yeah,
Right. It
it
comes
comes
from the place.
it comes from the place.
Right.
Yeah, the heart,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then here it says, it is the only path to completeness. Doing these things are the only path to completeness. It's not that you're not complete, but every moment you become more and more complete. You have another experience and that completes you. You are going to have to resolve this experience in order to be complete. And in becoming more and more complete, you move closer and closer to death. And that's a good thing. Like that's the direction we go,
Yeah.
you know? And we want to get back connected with Tao. And so but we're here to do something. You're here to carry this and to learn from this, and this is your path. When you are still silent and allow yourself to not force your actions, allow your actions to you know come up and present themselves to you. When you can do that, that will be how you learn. That will be your lesson. Action free of expectation and desire, with no expectation of getting healed, just being here in this, free of desire. This is the lesson of the nature of things. Listen to your nature. Be silent and learn. Like you
Mm.
have a nature and you are equipped to deal with this. If you get stuck in your head and if you get stuck in your body, those things are are finite. You are infinite.
Yeah, it was circling back to me to as we were talking about previously, surrender and trust.
Yeah.
Um, if you can surrender and trust, I think that's where you can be silent and the unforced action comes from.
Hmm.
Yeah, that sort of was what was that was what wonderful, Martin John.
Thank you.
Thank you very much again. Yeah, is um hope you have a great day, and I hope sort of the house is going well, and and yeah, and take care.
I will. Thank you so much, Johnny. It's always such a joy to share with you. I got like this idea at the end, right? Listen to your nature, be silent and learn. Like it's within you. That's who you are. That's how we are, right? And it's such a pleasure to be able to share this with you. And I know you're going through a lot, and it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy. That's what I meant. But it's not hard either, right? You're going through it no matter what. Like you are going through it, so there it is. um, and as far as my house is, same sort of thing. The other day I woke up and I found moisture in the floor of the bathroom of the place that I rent, the other house on my property, and I was just exhausted by it. But within, an hour or so, I was like, okay, get up, take out the floor, replace it. It was very much just like surrender to what it is. Don't want it to be different. The more I want it to be different, the more withdrawal I have to go through in order to literally surrender. And surrendering is not always an easy thing to do. Heidi, how are you? It has been a minute.
Long time, baby. I
Yeah,
love coming in here right at this moment. It's always perfect.
always. Where are you living these days?
Oh, you know me. I'm house sitting again. I mean, I was house sitting before, but I was stable because I had one house sit for 10 months.
Yeah.
Now, this house that I'm on is a 6-day house sit. My next is a 3-day house sit. Then I have a 11-day house sit in April. So I am traveling as a house sitter again.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I love it.
It's amazing. I am looking for a rental that I can put my stuff in and come home to once in a while because being constantly moving is
That can
probably
be
not the
tiresome. I
best.
liked. I was really happy that you had that long stay, that long stint.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, that was great. And then Stella just came to the end of her experience on this earth.
Oh.
So yeah,
Well, congratulations to her on her graduation.
yes, yes. She transmuted into something more lovely and free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. She knows more than we do.
Yeah, she does. Stella. Ah,
So let's be quiet for a moment and pick a
yeah,
number.
pick a number 7.
It's number seven. Lucky number seven. Everybody's lucky number is seven when they're six. Oh, interesting. This is the wisdom of not having preference. Tao is infinite. It doesn't grow old or tired. Because it has no preference for itself, it can always persist. The master puts herself last and always finds herself first. By being detached from preference, she can give herself to what is and find fulfillment there. I love that just in terms of how you kind of have lived with the house rental, right? Like just moving about and going where like what presents itself.
I like it. Can you reread the beginning
Mm-hmm.
and place the accent on find?
Find.
Finds or finds?
I'll see if I can. As I don't see the word find.
Finds herself.
She finds herself. Oh, okay, yeah. Tao is infinite, and it doesn't grow old. It doesn't grow old or tired because it has no preference for itself. It can always persist. The master puts herself last and always finds herself first. By being detached from preference, she can give herself to what is and find fulfillment there. And find fulfillment there. So there's two finds, I guess. I can't believe I missed both of them. I was looking at the earlier section. That's why.
Does that make create a difference, do you think?
Well, I think so. I think that depending on how we perceive the text, I think sometimes putting accents in different places help raise our awareness to different things depending on where we're coming from, right?
Right.
So when I read it in a certain way and you hear it in a certain way, and those two things don't have anything to do with one another. And when I read it, I just read it where and I will accent areas, like, so when I read this, I'm going to read it again because it's so short. Tao is infinite, so I want to emphasize the infinite nature of it. It
Right.
doesn't grow old or tired, like that's straight. Because it has no preference for itself, it can always, and I want to emphasize always,
Yeah.
like persist, right? Like always persist. So it can always keep going. right? Never will it tire. It will, like I was reading something the other day about this idea of like celebrating your wins. And if you celebrate your wins, when you have to when you have to
Yeah.
go out and win that again, you're tired. Because you're like, "But I already got this." But it's like, like for me, I'm rebuilding this house that I got and stuff in little sections and stuff. It's just like, you know, I if I fix a problem and then I celebrate that and then the problem comes back, I am more exhausted. But if I fix a problem and move on to another problem and fix another problem and just continue going and
Right.
not pat myself on the back because I solved something, but be like, no, I am being brought to this for some reason and this is an opportunity for me.
Yes. That's
So
awesome.
that's why I kind of focus on this always persist. Because
Right.
I mean, someone told me the other day, she was like, you never get tired. Like, you just keep going. And I'm just like, well, there's just more to this. Just, I'm doing it. I don't know. I'm not thinking about it. I'm tired
Exactly.
at night and whatnot. I'm not, but and then we go on to the next section. The master puts herself last and finds herself first. The master puts herself last and always finds herself first. Always finds herself first. So she find like she's not. It's interesting when we look at it that way. When we
Yeah.
focus on the finding herself first, it's like she. It's kind of like when you're driving and you got that and you got that highway hypnotism, and then you kind of
Yeah.
like all of a sudden find yourself like a lot closer than you thought you would have been.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like it's like opening to that awareness.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's I caught myself yesterday, I think it was yesterday, doing something not terribly significant, but in the moment I was like, "Yay!"
Yeah,
I don't even remember what it was. It was so insignificant, but in the moment I was like, "Celebrate yourself.
yeah.
Yay!" It
And I
was
think that that's
wonderful.
what this is, this idea of not having a preference, and like you don't know what it was offhand that made you feel that way, but you felt that way. And
Yes.
that's the thing that's important, right?
Right.
Not identifying a thing, not being
Exactly.
like, not celebrating the thing, just celebrating
Right.
being.
I'm just giddy right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
That I took that out moment for myself and just gave myself a little, like a noogie. Oh, you silly girl, of course you did
Yeah.
it.
And in that moment, that can be said like, you found yourself first. And that means that
Yeah.
you didn't put a whole lot of emphasis on the thing that got you there.
Yeah.
So you put yourself last, you put your preference last, you were just doing something, and that doing of something turned into you being you completely. And then here, as it continues, by being detached from preference, by being detached from the goals and all of the stuff that kind of reverberates with the doing, or can often reverberate with our doing stuff, she can give herself to what is in this moment and find fulfillment there. And that's what you found, right? In
Mhm.
that moment you found fulfillment by
I
just
sure did.
giving yourself to what was, giving yourself to this moment,
It's
like,
so peaceful and freeing.
yeah.
Yeah. There's not the whole like, oh wait, let me check my to-do list. Was this important? It,
Right. Is
yeah.
this is this is this one of my priorities? Do I gotta, like, oh, I'm not working on my business, or I don't have clients, or I don't have this. As soon as you start doing that, you become easy targets for manipulators and people trying to get you to,
Yeah.
like, it's so easy to be like, like, do you want clients? It's like, oh, you're focused on the wrong thing. Do you
Mm,
want this? Yeah, okay, we all, like we all
right.
this, we all that, whatever, whatever. But it's like really, we all are just here. And if we cannot have a preference of having those things, if we can let go of the idea, like of having and owning and preference and all that, and recognize that the houses that you live in want love, the animals that you sit and want love, and you're there to share your love with them. As I recently acquired a home, and I've been putting it together and fixing it and
Right.
jacking it up and doing all this stuff. But I recognize that this house has a life,
Yeah.
and the life of this house is not mine. And I am here in partnership with this house.
Yeah.
And I get to care for it, and it gets to care for me. And then we build this relationship. And there'll be a day where I die or the house dies, and there'll be mourning. And in the meantime, we are here together having this experience. And you know, I don't have a preference to what the house is. A friend of mine was like, "Oh, are you going to do this and that?" And it was all decorative stuff. And I was like, "No, I got to fix the foundation. I don't
Mm,
I don't I don't care. I don't care about hiding the boiler.
right.
Like, if you don't like looking at the boiler, why don't I go to your house?" Like, I don't care. Like like
Yeah.
and being drawn to do it. And just when something goes wrong, don't lament it. Just be like, "Okay, well, this is now has to be dealt with here." That's all. And just like
Right.
understand that this is like if this was a sibling,
I
I
love
wouldn't be
that.
like I
Yeah.
wouldn't be like, "Oh, you're horrible because like you splashed water on the floor."
Yeah.
No. Like,
Right.
you're
You
fine.
have to find your house's ticklish spots.
Yeah.
You have to settle down and nestle in and discover the spots that make your house glow,
Yeah.
and that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's great. And it's like every time, I jacked up one section of the house like 2 inches. And then as soon as I stepped on that area, it was like it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever done energy work or something, but like when you move some arm and it's like it doesn't want to go in a certain direction, and then you've released, and once you release energy, it's like,
Right.
oh, now it moves.
Right.
And it's like that's kind of how the house is. It's like, oh, I got you in the right place and you are responding. Like, it's
Mm,
such a beautiful sort of back and forth. And I don't go around going, my house.
yeah.
It's not mine. And it's like when I say my house, like I feel like it's no. Like that's reducing the house to something that can be owned.
So how do you reference it?
I just the house. Yeah.
Why don't you name it?
I don't do that. Names are the beginning of identities.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
We want the house to be able to grow and change and be a different house in 2 years.
Hmm. Wow, that is so interesting, Martin John.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And
I would
that
have thought of it.
that's the thing, like even me, like I mean my name has changed from Marty to Martin John to Otto Sorts to Martin to all the things, like I've named myself throughout the years, throughout different things and different projects I've done, different things. And I remember there was a Marty Barnes in there once, Martin Garcia, like I change, and it changes, and it's so good to change, just to change how we're addressed, like because we're different people.
That's interesting. My name's gone from not officially, like I didn't
Yeah, of
go
course.
to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Heidi Love Laughter, Heidi Happiness, Heidi Love, Heidi Laughter, and
Yeah.
it's always changing.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like that's why it's so good to just and free yourself of those anchors of identity.
Interesting. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Lovely talking to you, Martin John.
Always, always. And it's so great. Like, as you know, as we wrap that up, and the title of this was The Wisdom of Not Having Preference.
Yes.
Even a
Perfect.
preference of what to be called.
Yeah.
The identities that we hold on to and all of that. When we don't have preference, we get to be who we are in this moment without having to get all caught up in what we're supposed to be because we have some preference of how we want to be seen. I interviewed this guy one time, Alan Baker, and we talked about, the trans experience. I mean, he's not trans, but I mean, both of us know many people that are trans, and the idea of, like, choose your gender however you want, but don't identify with any of it. Fuck that, right? Like, why identify with the gender? Like, go ahead and choose it, but you know you don't have to identify so much with it. You don't have to be this or be that. You just be. That's enough. I privileged to be able to do that and say that because I'm a cisgendered male, right? Like, I don't have to face that, but there is something to the idea that we don't have to identify. You know, we don't always have to identify with something always. And I think that the wisdom of not having a preference, really points to that. So Heidi, thank you so much. Johnny, thank you. We went through 62, 43, and 7 today. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you being here. If you benefit from the work that I do, please consider sending me a tip through Venmo at @MartinJohn_Garcia. You can also go to my link tree, which is in my profile, and send me a tip through there. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.